In this video, I'll be showing you how to tear down the Raptor 660 to get to the head, not to take the head off, but this requires having to drain the oil out of it so you don't have any oil up here. I'm going to go ahead and drain the coolant while I'm at it, but it's a lot of, tiny things that you can't easily see to get this valve cover off, and I'm going to show you all those steps right now. So as mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and drain the oil. You can watch my oil change video if you really want to see like the specifics on how to change the oil or how to get it out. But it's just one bolt for this oil tank and the drain bolt down underneath there. To drain the coolant, come on the passenger side of the four-wheeler, and you have a little 8mm bolt right there. All you got to do is take that out and all the coolant will drain out. Also to note, before you drain the coolant, go ahead and pop your radiator cap so you can allow a little bit of airflow to come into it. And please be careful. Whenever you take out that bolt, it will squirt out everywhere. So I have a funnel ready for it, but I'm going to keep a jug right here below it. I'm going to stick this funnel into it. But once it starts, I'm going to keep it up here the best I can so it'll try to shoot right down into it, but it will go everywhere. So just to warn you about that. Now while that's going to be draining, you can go ahead and try to take this engine mount off of here, which is just these two bolts here and these two here. And I would start with this one first. So I'm pretty sure I replaced this one because this one was missing when I bought the four-wheeler. You can go ahead and take this off of here and go ahead and take your spark plug boot off of there because that needs to come off as well. And your oil tank breather line, which is this right here. All it is just like a little push clamp. You push it together and slide it up, and this will usually pop off. The next step is to go ahead and get this oil line off of here. This oil line is ran all the way down to your oil pump. But all you gotta do is take this off. Now there should be 2 copper washers on this. I'm not for sure, but I'm pretty sure there's 2 copper washers, one on the bottom of this piece and one on the top. I may be wrong, but I know there is one on the bottom. But all it is to get this spark plug boot off here is to just pop it up out of there. And then for this, I think mine actually comes off of there pretty easy. You just tug on it a little bit. Easy enough. But once you get this off of here, go ahead and unscrew the clamp for this radiator hose. You can take this off here and slide that off. And then go ahead and get a number 5 Allen and take this tappet cover off, because this is a requirement to get the valve cover off. So I was correct with my assumption that oil line does have a copper washer on the bottom and the top of it. So I would just be careful with that. But you're going to have to replace these anyways, so you can go ahead and throw these away. Just make sure that you keep the banjo bolt whenever you take it out. But in order to get that line out, there's also the bolt down here, right behind this radiator hose, behind your water pump. Connects your water pump to your jug, it's right behind it. After you take that out, make sure that you plug this, and so no dirt or anything like foreign material gets inside of it. But I went ahead and took that bolt out and got my line out of there. I went ahead and maneuvered it out in between the exhaust right here. I was able to maneuver it out. I have it over on the table. And I'm going to clean mine up and make sure I wrap it in paper towel so nothing gets inside that oil line. I'm going to go ahead and take my tappet cover off. I recommend getting a socket Allen like this one if you want to do this job, because I know from experience that using an Allen key to get all of these bolts off, which is what we're about to do, it is a pain, especially if they've never been taken off before or they've been on there for so long. They are a pain trying to use a key. So using one of these sockets so you can use a ratchet makes this job that much easier. Alright, so this is the most important part of the Raptor 660 teardown. To get this valve cover off, a lot of people forget to take this tappet cover off, and they forget to get these 2 bolts right here. If you do not do it, you will most likely crack this valve cover. So go ahead and get these 2 out, and there is a boatload of bolts here. I'm not going to count them all, but also remember to take off this little cover here. This is the little cover that you use to check your oil level whenever you're running your engine and you just did a rebuild, oil change, whatever. You can take out the bottom bolt here and check and see if you have oil in your top end. But you have a bolt right above it that's holding it on, that's also like keeping it flush to the head. So go ahead and take that bolt out as well, and then the rest of the bolts around this valve cover. And it shouldn't be too much of a hassle unless you use a very hard silicone sealer like I did, that I know is going to be a pain to get off. But please double check that you have all of these bolts out. I've made the mistake of forgetting this one in the middle. I forgot that one once, and I tried to get this valve cover off. I ended up splitting a tube before using it against this. So just double check before you use anything to whack against this to get it off. Now, my valve cover was very stuck on there, so after I already organized all my bolts, I went ahead and, made sure I had all of them, double checked, and my valve cover was very stuck. So the first thing I tried was sticking this bolt back in and sticking a screwdriver underneath it and prying up on it, and I still couldn't get it. So I went with my second resort, which was a 2x4, and what you want to do is put it right up against this cover right here and hit it at this angle right here, and just pick a couple of strong hits and make sure you have all the bolts out, and it'll pop up this side so you can be able to lift up the entire cover off. Just like so. Upon looking at this cover, I can see that my cam gear has ate the inside of this cover with a chain, one of the two. And looking at these cam bearings, the last time I took this thing apart, those bearings were ate to death just like that. But they haven't got any worse. I didn't want to go ahead and replace these, but this is what they did look like when I took them apart the first time, and it didn't seem like they're getting any worse, nor does it seem to run like, any worse than it has since I took it apart. So I'm going to leave it for now. I may or may not replace this when I go to rebuild this. But that is something that you need to check when you take yours apart, is your cam bearings, and see if your chain has started eating the inside of this cover or not. Looking at the engine side of things, everything looks to be normal. So far so good. There's no tension between this. The chain is still very tight, but if I push hard enough against this, the cam will pop up. But the cam bearings are not scored. They look like they are, but they're not, and the lobes look perfect. So far so good. Good puddle of oil underneath here, so that's a good sign that I'm actually getting enough oil up here. But that concludes today's video. So if you have any questions of anything that I have done so far, please ask them below. But if you want more videos like this, please subscribe.